Is she in hiding somewhere? Or did Barbara suffer a more... We begin in Costa Rica, in a surfers paradise, Tenerife. Barbara Strunkova was a Czech native but a citizen of the world, a passionate traveller who came here with her American boyfriend, Bill Alma. We had who remember them well.
She was a very beautiful person. She was fun, she was a beautiful person.
When they weren't surfing, Bill and Barbara worked together at this shop for Christian booze.
Bill, he used to be a really nice guy, really friendly, really good talker, sell everything fast.
They lived in this house, only steps from the beach, with two other couples, including Christina Hughes.
Barbara was a sweetheart. She was very funny, very enjoyable, very easygoing. He didn't really go out. He just served and was that.
Sounds like they found their own slice of heaven. But we also tracked down another roommate who tells a different story, and she asks that we conceal her identity.
Relationship was on the rocks. She wanted one thing and he wanted another. Before Barbara went missing, the status was that if Bill didn't get his act together as far as settling down with Barbara, that she would leave and going back.
Other friends also began to notice signs of trouble.
She was the breadwinner in the relationship, and so with her leaving, he would be kind of left on his own.
As far as I knew with Barbara, she came from a pretty well-established family. There's money in her family. I actually asked him, hey, are you guys together? He said, I'm with her because of the money. She's not pretty, but I can be with her in bed. It's just all about the money. And I look at her like, wow, that's so mentira.
That's fucked up, man.
According to friends, for dinner and drinks.
They had all gone out that evening. Bill was tired and he wanted to go home. He wasn't having fun because he didn't speak Czechoslovakian.
She stayed and ended up drinking and being social with her friends.
When Barbara returned, according to Bill,
packed her things in the middle of the night and left him with her friends and went down south.
The next morning when everyone woke up at the house, Bill had said she had left.
Bill was alone, broke, and devastated.
He told me she was a pretty and that she left him for another guy. And he said, you never know a person until they leave you.
I was like, what? Okay, what are you telling me? He's like, yeah, she came home last night. She was very drunk. She packed all her stuff, and she went somewhere to the Caribbean with his boyfriend who came from her country. And we all felt sorry for him, and we believed him.
2 days later, Bill borrowed a car in a desperate effort to bring Barbara back.
He said that he was going down south to look for her.
But his broken-hearted soul... Most, it seemed the romance had simply run its course.
We knew that she wanted a family and be married, and he didn't want that.
So for me, that was really surprised, but I said, okay, I like that.
We discovered that
there was a lot of information that
this is very strange.
when a far more sinister clue...
It's such a shock for this town.
Barbara Strunkova's disappearance on December 5th, 2010.
People can get a free Samsung Galaxy S22 when they buy Galaxy. Any year, any condition.
Oh, I get it. So you can take your old phone that you've had for 12 years and loved every minute.
Bro, what the fuck?
For something new that suits your life now?
That's right, yeah.
Then enjoy immediate success. Even though you'll never forget your old phone,
Like, how the fuck, bro?
Accused many in the tight-knit community of Tamarindo, Costa Rica.
It didn't sit right. It didn't feel right at all.
As our Crime Watch daily investigation discovered, there were holes in Bill's claim that he and Barbara had a fight before she ran away in the middle of the night.
No one heard anything. None of the roommates heard any noises.
I know she would at least send me a text message and say, hey, I'm taking a little time off, I'm going away or something. It was not like her just to go.
Bill told some that Barbara took off to the Caribbean, others that she went to Panama.
Everyone I talked to was telling a different story about where Barbara was and what happened. 2 days later, I received a call from Barbara's uncle. He was just saying, "Hey, where's Barbara? Do you know anything about Barbara?" I said, "I don't know, ask Bill."
Friends soon discovered something else.
Barbara could not leave out of the country without taking her passport, without taking her credit card and bank cards.
Her passport was in the safe in the upstairs room.
Nobody would be traveling around in this country without access to money. Impossible.
None of this makes sense. Where's Barbara? She's not in touch with the family. She's not speaking to anyone. What's going on?
Only 11 days after Barbara vanished, Tamarindo was robbed by another mysterious disappearance.
I was the last one to see Bill Ulmer.
Disappeared, basically. You know, one day he was there, next day he was gone.
I saw him literally right before he hopped on a bus to San Jose.
Even more troubling, Bill left the country traveling on his brother's passport.
No.
Red flag.
Plasma.
If Bill was broke, where did he get the money to buy the bag? After Barbara disappeared, $3,000
Two rounds,
also
23
disappeared
minutes,
from
but
her
I mean, I
account.
did
She
pause
was
for
actually
like
caught on the
10
cameras
minutes.
using her bank card to get the money out of the bank.
Authorities will not release those video recordings, and Bill Ulmer has never been charged.
Especially when we have names that
Armed with these incriminating details, Barbara's friends called local authorities, who sent agents from the OIJ, Costa Rica's FBI. What they uncovered confirmed everyone's worst fear.
They did do a thorough investigation of the house. I know they brought their best forensics team in. They found blood evidence.
what surprised me was seeing all the blood that was on the floor all the way around the house that we couldn't see with our own eyes. I mean, it looked like someone had a wet bag of something and drug it around the pool and out of the house.
Had Bill been in country, I believe they would have apprehended him and questioned him extensively, but he was able to get out of it.
Even worse, without a body, the OIJ says they can't bring murder charges.
We feel helpless. I felt helpless.
That's when Matty reached out to his old surfing buddy, Pat McNulty.
Of a body.
All of us get together and begin to look for the body.
Hold up, I wanna see. What level did I start off when I started this match?
Basically, with the type of weather conditions that we have here, anything that the animals, the wildlife, the humidity, the salt air, the human body would disappear within a couple of weeks, and it was well after 2 weeks.
So, where is Bill Ulmer?
Classic. We actually changed it with changed by adding 33% more pepperoni.
Oh, that sounds good. Well, get a workout with the new Hot Ready Classic with 33% more pepperoni. Pizza.
We came to Costa Rica in search of answers in the disappearance of Barbara Strumkova. Sadly, we discovered that her closest friends believe that any trace of Barbara has long vanished in these tropical, animal-infested jungles. They also believe her boyfriend, Bill Ulmer, knows a lot more than he's letting on.
696 and I'm 816.
I felt
Holy
very
shit.
stupid because we could have done something. As a community, as friends, we could have done something more. But man, he had us fooled. He had us fooled. All of us.
After Barbara disappeared and Bill fled to the United States, we located him at his parents' house. We spoke to him on the phone.
He said some pretty interesting things. What, you think I put it in a board bag, jumped to the river?
It just shocked us.
Unsolicited. These are just things that he said.
I think he enjoyed it. He really thrived on the fact that I'm so smart, I'm so good. You all don't know what happened. He completely enjoyed it. He's a very sick person.
So, where did Bill Ulmer go? We followed his trail out west, where he began work as a driver in the oil fields of Wyoming and Colorado. And the stories we uncovered sounded oddly familiar.
Bill Ulmer is the classic charming man. He says all the right things at all the right times. He would tell you you're beautiful 20 times a day, everything that a woman would want.
This woman, who we'll call Jessica, met Ulmer through an online dating service.
He was looking for a long-term relationship, and that he hadn't been in a relationship in a long time, and that it was time for him as well to find someone to spend his life with.
Lucky for her, Jessica did some digging and came across this website created by one of Bill and Barbara's roommates in Costa Rica.
I asked him to tell me about Barbara. He seemed to think it was kind of funny that she was missing, because he didn't seem sad. He told me that she got involved in drugs and that she was dead. I distanced myself away from him after he told me that he knew Barbara was dead.
Jessica wasn't alone. We found Bill's profile on a website called Bad Boyfriend, a site that exposes purported cheaters.
I hate to characterize someone, but I feel like maybe he's earned it. That he's a classic con man that will do and say anything to get what he wants. And he doesn't care. And he's good at lying. He had me convinced. I thought he was a nice guy.
Someone else thought Bill was a nice guy too, and she married him in early 2015. Crime Watch Daily tried to talk to Ulmer and his new wife and were told to stop calling. Bill Ulmer's life was moving forward, but the search for Barbara had come to a stop. It had been 5 years, and her closest friends were losing hope.
This is definitely one of the saddest things I've ever had to experience in my life. I just feel so horrible for her and her family. And that Bill was able to just get away. It breaks my heart that anyone has to go through something like that.
Fortunately, tenacity does have its rewards.
Basically, I just kept gathering information and sending it to Pat.
I knew the one fact that we had was that he used his brother's passport to leave the country. So based on that, I contacted the State Department.
The dogged efforts of Maddie and Pat finally paid off in May of this year, just when Bill Ulmer thought Costa Rica was but a distant memory.
He was about to go on his honeymoon to Hawaii, leaving from Denver Airport. He was arrested at that time. He had his brother's passport in his possession at that time.
Ulmer could face over 20 years in federal prison for charges related to passport fraud. Crime Watch Daily reached out to Ulmer's attorney and multiple family members. His attorney never called back, and his family refused to talk to us. But there's also hope that authorities in the US will work.
jam. And that was the reason for the unspent shocking.
Well, that was the theory of the issue.
Police tracked down a neighbor who reports seeing a dark-skinned male running from the scene.
Did the witnesses seem to suggest that this was a black person leaving?
The person that they saw walking away was a short, thin, African-American looking person in appearance with dark curly hair.
Another witness tells cops they remember a black car speeding away.
So that's what you had to go on.
That was the information from the witnesses, yes.
News of a possible killer on the loose rocks the city of Deerfield.
Nothing bad happens in Deerfield, so word of the shooting spread quickly.
Across town, Sean gets a call from a local reporter telling him a pregnant lady has just been shot in Ronnie's neighborhood.
Listen, I've been getting calls from the media. This is Sean here. Was it Ronnie Ryder? Is he okay? Yes, was Ronnie, and no, she's not. She's dead? I gotta call her there.
He was very upset on the phone. I really knew about what he was saying.
While many rushed to console the grieving gridiron great, Deerfield police weren't buying his tears.
Was Sean considered a person of interest?
Initially, Sean is considered a person of interest, next to immediately.
Sean tells police he had nothing to do with Ronnie's murder.
Did he have an alibi?
He did. He was getting his hair cut in North Chicago.
Was there a possibility that he could have committed the crime and gotten back to the barbershop in that time frame?
It was theoretically possible.
So he wasn't ruled out because of that alibi.
Not because of the alibi.
But what about that African-American man spotted fleeing the scene?
Did Sean's physical appeal match that of the fleeing suspect?
He's a former professional football player, so he's a bigger guy. And the physical didn't match that.
Cops couldn't rule out the possibility Sean had an accomplice or hired a hitman.
Unfortunately, suspect number one is going to be the other guy.
The big question cops couldn't answer, why would Sean want to kill Ronnie and his unborn baby girl?
We still didn't know the whole story, so we're still trying to piece things together. But Sean is still a primary person of interest.
Then investigators stumble across a bizarre letter inside Ronnie's purse, written in broken English.
What about this letter that was found in Ronnie's purse?
It was a letter drafted to a number of women. I believe that we had 15, 16, 17 women in this letter, including Ryan.
Cops soon discover the women on the list had one thing in common. They were all sleeping with Sean Gamer.
They knew he was a player.
Players of the word.
You got them.
Yes. Yes.
Cops in Deerfield.
Keep looking at a free Samsung Galaxy S22 when they trade in the Galaxy. Any year, any condition.
Oh, I get it. So you can take your old phone that you've had for 12 years and loved every minute.
Cops in Deerfield, Illinois are staring at a possible motive for Ronnie Ryder's murder. 17 of them, in fact. All here in a bizarre letter found near Ronnie's pregnant, bullet little thigh.
Ronnie had this in her purse.
She had it in her purse.
The letter, written in broken English, lists the names of 17 women and their phone numbers. These were lovers of the father of Ronnie's baby, former Chicago Bear, Sean Gamer.
But basically, it was very blunt. He's having relationships with all these women. He's out there playing all of you.
So he got around. He had several girls.
While Ronnie and Sean appear to be the picture Detective George Vallejo quickly learned their private life was complicated and extremely crowded.
Describe Sean and Ronnie's relationship.
I believe the best way to describe their relationship on Sean's part.
When cops questioned Sean about the letter, he said Ronnie knew he was seeing other women, but detectives were hearing a very different story.
From the indications we got from some of Ronnie's friends, she wasn't exactly 100% bought into that.
contact with these women and saw these
Yeah, they were all ongoing.
So further making the eyeballs go over to Sean as a person of interest.
Right.
At first, cops wonder if Ronnie confronted Sean about the other women and he snapped, or if one of the 17 players on Sean's sex team didn't want the baby to take their football dream out of the game.
Everybody was working bits and pieces and was trying to come up with all sorts of theories.
As cops were zeroing in on Sean as their prime suspect, something unexpected happened. Sean handed the Deerfield police his own #1 suspect.
What did Sean think may have had something to do with this?
One of the first people he mentioned to the police as a possible suspect was Monica.
Monica Kowalska, a beautiful fitness model and a personal trainer, who happened to be the first name on the list. Sean had been seen in Polish bombshell for a few years, but there
He looks like Will Smith.
Apparently, Monica thought that the relationship was monogamous. She turns up at Sean's house unexpectedly one evening, looks through the window, and sees Sean with another woman.
Sean says Monica became violent, busted out a window at his home, and then began leaving threatening phone messages. He even suspected Monica had somehow hacked into his email account.
He finally got to the point where he felt that she was stalking him.
The tough football player was so terrified that just days before Ronnie was murdered, he had filed a restraining order against Monica.
Sean was afraid of Monica, and Sean thought Monica could handle this.
Correct.
Sean tells cops he also believes Monica, a Polish immigrant, is the one who wrote the letters.
There was broken English in the way that the letters were written, and Monica was from Poland and spoke broken English.
But Monica denies sending the letters and tells police she was with a client at the exact time Ronnie and her unborn baby were coming down.
She could not have done it.
She could not have done it.
So the investigation.
It continued.
All eyes shift back to Sean Gable.
So you did serve a search warrant on Sean's phone?
Absolutely.
3 weeks after Ronnie's bishop, cops seize Sean's computer and find something that sets off warning bells. Sean had a cyber stalker. Someone had ghosted his hard drive and been controlling his computer remotely, tracking the former football great's every move, and they've been doing it for nearly 2 years.
Emails, names.
See, that's why, bro. Like, if I ever get a girl and all that, shit, you best believe I need to know whether they're a psycho or not.
We were starting to get frustrated.
And you had to find her.
You know, these are the cases that are tough, but you just don't give up.
Detectives go back to that lineup of the 17 women. Then a retired cop blows the whistle on one of them.
They said, if anybody's done this, it's Marty Yang.
Turns out Marty Yang is number 15 on that list for Ronnie's purse. One by one, police in Deerfield, Illinois have been checking off the 17 names on that bizarre letter found at the murder scene near Ronnie Ryder's bullet-riddled body. Then detectives hit number 15.
It's Marty Yang.
Marty Yang was one of several women sleeping with Ronnie's longtime love, Sean Gale, a Chicago football hero and the father of her unborn baby.
He wasn't exclusive to Ronnie.
No.
He thought.
Yes. I think it was somewhere around 17 or 18 other women.
But Sean wasn't Marty Yang's only lover either. One Chicago cop who had sex with Marty Yang told detectives they should pay a lot of attention to her while investigating Ronnie's murder.
He had a relationship with her, and he had broken it off. It didn't go well. Marty threatened him, threatened his family,
The officer says she even tried to blackmail him when he threatened to break up with her.
He was worried enough to, he was close enough to retirement to put in his papers and move his entire family out of town and out of sight.
They actually moved.
They moved out of state.
Cops were intrigued. Now they want to know all they can about Marty Yang.
Who's Marty Yang?
She was loose, a little bit wild, especially for her age. Two things drove her: getting attention and sex.
Yang, a mother of three, dabbled in real estate. Had a side gig as a fitness.
You're a mother of 3 and you're gonna fucking do that to yourself, killing somebody because you're obsessed with sex, you whore? Bro, I didn't mean to say that, but I mean, she low-key is. She's obsessed with sex, and so she's gonna kill someone else and all that. That's fucked up. You're a mother of 3. You shouldn't be focusing on that. You should be focusing on your kids.
I got the idea that you had
I didn't mean to say that. I was just really pissed off at listening to this to the point where that just blurted out.
About her relationship with Sean, but he says Marty was obsessed with dating cops and often showed up at the station to study how they investigated crimes.
She has had lessons from other Chicago police officers on how to shoot a gun and how to cover up a crime.
She'd been studying how to get away with murder, basically, with her sexual partners.
Long before the TV show ever aired.
Searching for clues, Deerfield detectives head to Marty Yang's condo and dive headfirst into her garbage.
This is very, very fundamental police work, is dumpster diving. Once somebody by law pushes their garbage out onto the public easeway, it's open game. They would drive over there, they would empty her trash cans into a van, drive away, and back to the police department and look through the trash.
And in the trash, they find what they think is a treasure trove of evidence.
As luck would have, they recovered some receipts that were extremely interesting.
The first receipt is to a very specific online bookstore.
You track the order, and it's for a book on how to build silencers.
So she purchases a book on how to make a silencer, and a silencer was used.
Yes, that's correct. Then there was another receipt from a local Home Depot, and that receipt actually listed out the items. You look through the books. The items and mostly the homemade silencers fit the items on the Home Depot receipt. We verified that it was her making that purchase through video. Additionally, we saw her purchasing a bucket and quick-drying cement.
Detectives haul Marty Yang in for questioning. Marty claims the book was a gag gift for a cop she was dating. But how would she explain buying all the materials needed to build a silencer?
She always had an answer.
But what about that bucket and bag of concrete she's seen buying here on a store surveillance camera?
You thought she was a whack job.
Yeah, we thought there was something that just didn't click.
Here's the problem. Yang also has an alibi.
Where did Marty say she was at the time of the murder?
Oh.
She said her car broke down and she needed help.
She said that the battery was dead, so she had called a friend of hers.
Are you fucking kidding me? You give me a fire sale when I'm really low on ammo?
Wisconsin to get her to help her.
Yang claims without a car, she was stuck at home at the exact time Ronnie was murdered.
Another hurdle for you.
But before Yang leaves, she drops this, telling detectives she believes some actually be stalking her.
It was kind of strange because I would see her car drive around my block 3 times and slow. Okay.